What's up, sisters? It's your boy Beef, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I've got something a little bit cursed for you, and also tiny, and also musical. We're not going to be using any modded classes or subclasses for today's build, but we are going to be using modded spells and an increased level cap to build my beloved, the Hexflute. Scabbi was just your average lore bard. Level 11, played the flute, went on adventures, nothing wild. That is, until she stumbled across a strange artifact deep in a forgotten ruin. And what was it? Another flute. But not just any flute. The moment her fingers touched the keys, she felt something change. A pact, a curse, a contract etched into her soul, linking her to a dark entity from some distant, dying realm. And as if that wasn't enough, she got tadpoled by a goddamn mind flayer. Now Scabbi is no longer just a bard. She's a hexflute. Let's go ahead and get straight on into it. For our character's race, I've decided to go with a forest gnome, pretty much entirely because I never choose the shorter races for my builds, and I wanted to show the gnomes some love. Forest gnome specifically because the subrace also gives us access to the speak with animals spell, so might as well grab this one. I didn't notice anything else in the other gnome subraces that I really wanted that badly, so I decided to go for speak with animals. As a gnome in general, we do also have gnome cunning, which is a feature that grants us advantage on our intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws, which is very, very nice. For our background, I've chosen the Outlander because it matches up quite well with the Forest Gnome because we are from the forests, on top of giving us proficiency in both athletics and survival, which are both pretty nice to have. So starting at level 1, we're going to begin by taking the Bard class. When it comes to the leveling process for this character, you have two basic strategies. If you want to follow the narrative that I laid out in the beginning of this video, 11 levels of Bard directly followed up by 9 levels of Warlock will do just fine for you. If you're starting this character from a high level for a New Game Plus type of playthrough, then you'll basically just be progressing a Bard through their new Warlock levels because you're probably going to start somewhere around 10 or 11 anyway. If you're starting from level 1, however, you would just be playing a full Bard for about half the game before becoming more of a Bardlock style character. If you want to play the full game from level 1 with the playstyle that we're establishing for this character, I recommend doing 1 level of Bard and then 2 levels of Warlock to start. This will set us up with our basic Bard abilities as well as our armor efficiency and combat style through the Warlock class so that we can get that all set up by about level 3 or 4. After that, we would bring Bard to 6 for our magical secrets before slipping back over to Warlock to do the same for extra attack and other abilities like that. Because I'm going level by level for this video, that's the progression that I'm going to show off. For our cantrips, my choices are going to be both Vicious Mockery and Mage Hand. And for our spells, I'm going to go with Long Strider, Dissonant Whispers, Disguise Self, and Healing Word. For our instrument, I'm making use of a specific mod called Instruments as Weapons by Buko Moon. This mod enables us to wield our flute in our main hand as a physical weapon, and in order to do that, we'll select the flute from the second list of instruments on this screen. The first list is the default list, which is just normal instruments. The second list are the instruments that have a special little icon on it that allow you to use it as a weapon. So because of that, I'm going to choose the second flute here. For our ability scores, we're focusing primarily on charisma and dexterity. Charisma is our main stat for pretty much everything. Once we become a warlock, it becomes even more so our main stat, and dexterity is otherwise a fantastic secondary for armor class and initiative, so a score of 16 for both is absolutely fantastic. We're also going to take a score of 14 for constitution, a 12 in wisdom, and dump both our strength and intelligence scores at scores of 8. At level 2, we're immediately going to start taking our first level of warlock. The reason that we want to do this is because as a Hexblade Warlock, we can infuse our weapon with charisma scaling right now, which turns our melee capabilities on at just level 2 absolutely fantastic for us. We're also going to get access to some other combat options like our new cantrips and spells. For our cantrips, I'm going to choose both Eldritch Blast and also Booming Blade. Eldritch Blast is good for our range attacks, obviously, and Booming Blade is just kind of a necessity for our melee combat. Our flute does 1d4 bludgeoning damage, so Booming Blade is going to be a lot of our melee damage overall. 1d4 is kind of nothing, especially if that's going to be one of our main ways of doing damage in combat. For our subclass, we're doing the Hexblade, like I've already mentioned, and for our spells, I'm going to go with the Shield and also Armor of Agathis. At level 3, we're getting access to our second level of Warlock for some new Eldritch invocations and also another spell. For our spell, I'm going to take Wrathful Smite, and for our invocations, I'm going to go with Devil's Sight and also Eldritch Mind. Eldritch Mind is available through the Invocations Expanded mod that I have installed from the Nexus, and Eldritch Mind will give us advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration on a spell. It's basically the best parts of the Warcaster feat. We can take it here as an invocation and not have to worry about needing it as a feat, which is really, really incredible. At level 4, we're going back over to our second level of Bard, and here is where we're going to pick up the Jack of all Trades passive, which adds half our proficiency bonus rounded down to all ability checks that we're not proficient in, which means we're going to be semi-proficient in pretty much everything. We're also going to get access to our Song of Rest, which basically grants us 1 free short rest each day. For our new spell, I'm going to take Featherfall because it's incredibly useful in Act 1 and has a lot of uses in that area. At level 5, we're taking our third level of Bard for our subclass, the College of Lore. College of Lore is probably my favorite subclass in Baldur's Gate 3 and even Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition in general. It's honestly just so flexible. It can do literally anything. Our primary subclass feature is going to be Cutting Words, which uses our reaction and bardic inspiration to decrease an enemy's dice roll by 1d6, which is a really, really awesome ability to have. For our new Bard spell, I'm going to take the Enhance ability because it's one of the best utility spells in the game. As a Lore Bard, we also get 3 new skill proficiencies and also 2 expertise. For proficiencies, I'm going to go with Acrobatics, Stealth, and also Perception. And for our expertise options, I am going to take Persuasion and also let's do Perception. At level 6, we get our 4th level of Bard for some new abilities and also a feat. For our new cantrip, I'm going to take the Friends ability. You could actually, instead, you know what, let's do Minor Illusion because that one's also just incredibly powerful throughout very many different areas in the game. And for our new spell, I'm going to go with Hold Person because it's a really fantastic crowd control option that will scale through the rest of the game. And for our feat, I'm going to use an ability score improvement to bring our charisma up to a score of 18 for a higher spell save DC and spell attack rolls and all those great things. At level 7, we take our 5th level of the Bard class for access to our Font of Inspiration, enabling us to use our Bardic Inspiration die much more frequently, recharging every short rest. Inspiration will also jump from 1d6 to 1d8 with improved Bardic Inspiration die. And for our spells, we now have access to 3rd level options. My first pick here is going to be Hypnotic Pattern. This is a fantastic spell that can pretty much win you several different encounters because it will hypnotize creatures that can see the pattern. They cannot attack you, they cannot move or act. They literally just sit there dazed and confused for 2 turns or until they pass the save or until concentration ends. It's a really powerful spell with a lot of really great crowd control abilities. At level 8, we're taking our 6th level of the Bard class so that we can get some really cool new spells. First, we're going to choose our Bard spell, and the one that I want to choose comes from Mistress Spells. Remember how at Bard level 2, we get the Song of Rest, which gives us 1 free short rest every long rest? How would you like another one? Well, we have the 3rd level spell, Catnap. Catnap gives us a 3rd level spell that is another short rest, also restoring 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level spell slots at the same time. You can do this outside of combat, put your team to sleep for 2 turns, and they wake up, and we got 1 extra free short rest. Who freaking who? How cool is that? Even cooler than that, the best part about bards is magical secrets. Their signature feature that allows them to learn spells from any class's spell list, not just their own. This means that even though bards are traditionally support and control casters, Magical Secrets lets you access powerful options typically exclusive to classes like Wizard, Cleric, or Paladin. Do you want to cast Counterspell? Maybe Fireball? How about Spirit Guardians? You can. This versatility makes the Bard one of the most flexible spellcasters in the entire game, allowing you to tailor your spell selection, cover any specific gaps in your party, boost your damage output, or become a top-tier battlefield controller, all while still inspiring your allies with your signature bardic flair. I have a ton of spell list mods installed, so my Magical Secrets list is a bit long, as you can see, But also, as you can see, I have a literal shit ton of options here for how I want to customize my character's build in almost any way I want. We only have 2 slots to fill, and magical secret spells can often be build defining if chosen correctly. We have access to spells like Haste, Fireball, Mass Healing Word, Spirit Guardians, Sanctuary, Command, and a ton of other stuff from Mistress Spells further down on the list. One thing that's incredibly important to keep in mind here is that some of these spells are Warlock spells, ones that we can get through our Hexblade class, so it would be a huge waste to get them here instead of getting them there when we get to that point. Some of those spells that I want to note are abilities like Hunger of Hadar, Vampiric Touch, Summon Shadow Spawn, even Counterspell, so we're going to avoid these for now. Instead, I'm going to choose Spirit Guardians and also Command. At level 9, we're taking ourselves back over to the Warlock class for a short little while. For our 3rd level of Warlock, we're getting a new spell and also our Pact boon. For our spell, I'm going to take Misty Step so that we have a really good movement utility option available to us. And for our Pact boon, I am going to go with the Pact of the Blade. Our flute is ultimately our blade, and it is the basis of our Pact, so it only makes sense that our Pact is of our blade, our flute. At level 10, we get our 4th level of the Warlock class for a new cantrip, a spell, and also a feat. For our cantrip, I'm going to take Toll the Dead, because it's a pretty good necrotic damage spell. You can take whatever you want here, but Toll the Dead is going to be my choice. And for our spell, I'm going to grab Mirror Image, because it's a really fantastic defensive utility option that will increase our armor class by 9 when we have all 3 of the charges around us. And for our new feat, I'm going to choose Alert so that we have a nice bonus to our initiative and also so we can't be surprised. At level 11, we take our 5th level of Warlock, where we unlock our Pact of the Blade's extra attack and also gain access to a new invocation. For our new spell, we have access now to 3rd level options, and the one that I want specifically is Counterspell because we did avoid it on the Bard's Magical Secrets list, and we want to get it as quickly as we possibly can otherwise, so let's grab it now. For our invocation, we're going to go with Agonizing Blast for some extra Eldritch Blast damage whenever we're at range. At level 12, we're taking our 6th level of the Warlock class, where we get a new cool subclass feature called the Accursed Spectre. Whenever we kill a creature affected by our Hexblade's curse, we can potentially raise them as an undead spectre that will fight alongside us. It's pretty cool, and it's a unique summon. This is a really fun ability to have available to us on our kit. For our new spell, I'm actually going to take from the Mistress Spells mod, I'm going to use Summon Shadow Spawn. This spell effectively allows us to summon an apparition of our shadowy patron to fight for us. We're basically summoning a shadow spirit, kind of like from the Shadow Cursed lands in Act 2, but it's ours instead of just a roaming shadow from the Spirit lands. At level 13, we're going back over to the Bard so that we can pick up access to some 4th level spells. And for our first choice, I'm going to go with Greater Invisibility. At level 14, we take our 8th level of the Bard class for another spell and also a feat. For our spell, I'm going to take Dimension Door as another movement utility option so that we can bring ourselves and an ally with us. And for our feat, I'm going to take one more ability score improvement so that we can increase our charisma to an even score of 20, which is really fantastic. At level 15, we get our 9th level of the Bard class for 5th level spell slots. One spell that we really want in particular is from the Mistress Spells mod called Synaptic Static. This spell deals 66 psychic damage in a very large area of effect and provides an enormous debuff to enemies hit by it. When enemies that are hit by it will have a minus 1d6 penalty to attack rolls, ability checks, and constitution saving throws for 10 turns, which is insane, especially since it goes on an intelligence save, which means they're pretty likely to not pass it. At level 16, we're getting the single most impactful level that we're going to get as a Bard. Bard level 10 is where we get our second Magical Secrets spell list, and now we have options up to level 5. But before that, we get to choose a new cantrip, and I'm going to go with Friends now, since I took Minor Illusion last time. For our Bard spell, I'm going to grab Hold Monster because it's a really great spell and we don't have anything else that I really want that badly. The main thing that we're interested in is stuff that comes from our Magical Secrets list. Again, we have 2 spots to fill and some of them are available through the Warlock class, so we want to keep a lookout for those. One of the spells that I do definitely want is from Mishra Spells called Steel Wind Strike. It does absolutely bananas force damage, 6d10 force damage, but specifically, you vanish into the wind and strike 5 different targets. Just like the little image there, looks like that little star shape. That's more or less what you're going to do on the battlefield. You're going to hop from one location to the next, dealing 6d10 force damage at each individual location. It's basically just like a 5-person cleave that can be anywhere and does 6d10 force damage each. It's really, really powerful. One of my favorite spells. I always take it whenever I have the option to. So we're definitely going to go with that one. There is another spell in here called Banishing Smite, which is really powerful, and it only is available on 2 different spell lists in the game. One of which is obviously this Bard level 10 Magical Secrets spell list. Other one is the Hexblade Warlock at level 9, which we're going to be getting, so luckily we don't need to take it here unless you really want it, but I don't really need it yet. We're going to take it in a couple more levels of Bard, like 3 or 4 more levels, so we'll be fine when we get it there. Otherwise, we can choose from pretty much anything else that's on this incredibly large list that we want to look at. I think the spell that I'm going to go for is probably just Fireball, because it's pretty simple, it doesn't take concentration, and I can use it as a big area of effect damaging spell for 3rd level and higher. For our abilities, we do get some extra expertise, and I'm going to choose Deception and also Performance because they're pretty good. At level 17, we're learning our 11th and final level of the Bard class for one last spell, which will be a 6th level spell. My favorite choice here is going to be Otto's Irresistible Dance. If you prefer Eye Bite, you could go for it, but it's concentration. I mean, Otto's Irresistible Dance is also, but it's more fun because you can make your enemy do a little shimmy whenever you want to. At level 18, we're going back to close out our build with a few levels of the Warlock class. For our 7th level of Warlock, we're going to get a new spell and also a new invocation. And for our spell, I'm going to take Hunger of Hadar because it's a really good one to go with. And for our invocation, I'm going to go with Eldritch Smite. This allows us to deal massive force damage, smite attacks, with our Warlock spell slots at the 5th level, which is kind of crazy. It'll do like 50 to 60 damage with just this one smite attack. At level 19, we get our 8th level of the Warlock class for a new spell and also a feat. For our spell, you could take virtually whatever you want here. I'm gonna go with Fear just because it's a really fun spell and kind of fits into our whole character's vibe. And for our final feat, I'm going to choose one more ability score improvement so that we can put 2 more points into dexterity so that we can bring it up to an even score of 18. And finally, at level 20, we're taking our 9th and last level of the Warlock class for access to 5th level spells and also a new invocation. The one thing that we really want here is a very special spell that I mentioned earlier, Banishing Smite. It's only on 2 spell lists, this one and Magical Secrets for the College of Lorebard. Woo freaking who, we got it twice, but we only need it once. Let's grab it this time. To go into a little bit more detail about Banishing Smite, it's a smite attack that deals 5d10 force damage, more than any other divine smite in the game, while also banishing a foe for 2 turns. Wow. How much more do I have to say about it? I mean, really. And for our last invocation, I'm going to go with Eldritch Spear to vastly increase the range of our Eldritch Blast, since there's not really anything else in here that we need that badly, and most of what we're doing with our Warlock class is going to be our melee attacks and also our Eldritch Blast. That's pretty much all for the leveling of this character, so let's hop right on out and talk about some gear and equipment that works incredibly well for this Hexflute Bardlock. So for the armor and equipment for this character, there's a few things that we really want to focus on. For our helmet, we're using the Helmet of Arcane Acuity. This is the first time in a long time that I've used this helmet on one of my builds. It's so overpowered that I try not to use it that often, but this is one build where I feel like it's just really useful, especially when we combine it with my other favorite item that I rarely ever use, the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel. After hitting a creature with a weapon attack, you can cast illusion or enchantment spells as a bonus action. Most of our spells are illusion or enchantment, as we'll see when we get into combat. This means that we can do double attacks with our flute here, and then follow it up with a spell on our bonus action, which makes our turns incredibly powerful and gives us a lot of really cool options for how we play our character. The Helmet of Arcane Acuity plays into this by when we make attacks with our weapon, we'll gain Arcane Acuity for 2 turns, and if you don't know what Arcane Acuity is, it gives you a +1 bonus to your spell attack rolls and spell difficulty class for each remaining turn. You can bump it up to like 10 stacks, so you can basically have a +10 to your spell save DC and spell attack rolls, giving you like a 100% chance to hit like half of the spells in the game. It's kind of crazy, it's a bit busted, and it's a wonder why Larian let it in their game. I'm not complaining, but it's here, and I'm going to use it on this build. For our cloak, we have the Cloak of Protection, giving us a +1 bonus to our armor class and also to our saving throws. For our armor, I'm using the Armor of Agility, which allows us to add our full dexterity modifier to your armor class and gives us a +2 bonus to our saving throws. This armor has a base armor class of 17. Since we have medium armor, this is just the best in slot option that I decided to choose. You could go for any other medium armor option, but this is the one that I decided to go with. For our gloves, I have the Wondrous Gloves, which you can pretty much only use on a bard. It gives you a +1 bonus to your armor class, and in addition, if you have Bardic Inspiration, you gain 1 more use of it per long rest. What this means is you normally have 5 uses per long rest. This one gives you a 6th one on that first kind of short rest encounter, so you'll just have 1 extra use of Bardic Inspiration. Doesn't really give you much else besides that and the armor class bonus, but armor class bonus is pretty good on its own. For our boots, I'm using the Disintegrating Nightwalkers, which are a pretty standard pair of boots, can't be enwebbed, entangled, or ensnared, and can't slip on grease or ice, and you get the Misty Step spell. For our amulet, I'm using the Spine Shudder amulet. When the wearer deals damage with a ranged spell attack, inflict 2 reverberation upon the target. Anytime that we use our Eldritch Blast or any other ability like that, we'll be able to reverberate our targets just because there's not much else we could do here with our amulet. You could replace it with the Amulet of the Harpers for a little bit more defense if you want to. We already have advantage on wisdom saving throws, so we don't really need that. This is mostly just for the shield spell, so otherwise you might as well go for something like the Spine Shudder amulet. And for my other ring, I'm using the Ring of Regeneration, just because I couldn't find another ring that really fit that well in this slot, besides maybe the Ring of Protection, but I use that in all of my builds, so I wanted to give it a little bit of a break. We're using the Ring of Regeneration here for just some extra healing once per turn. But how exactly does this build hit its enemies with the flute? Well, specifically with that mod by Buko Moon, Instruments as Weapons, when you select that second instrument, it adds it here. You'll have this green flute, which will add the ability Use as Weapon to your hotbar here. And when we go ahead and cast that, and then we check our inventory here, suddenly we've got a flute in our hands. And it's a flute, it does 1d4 plus floor bludgeoning damage. You could theoretically just bind this as your hex weapon and then do that, but I'm not satisfied there. I'm going to take this weapon. I've already got one here that I used earlier. Same thing. Now we have 2 of them. What I'm going to do is grab the Luck Blade, which is from the Song and Steel Bard Equipment mod by Graphic Fade, and part of Fade's equipment distribution all in one. This is a really cool legendary melee weapon, a longsword that is finesse and versatile. It has Fortune's Favor. The Luck Blade seems to bend fate itself, offering a second chance when luck falters. Once per turn, when you roll a 1 or a 2 on an attack roll, you can re-roll that die and must use the new result. Additionally, the blade grants you a +2 bonus to all saving throws and has a +3 weapon enchantment. It's not anything really crazy to write home about, but it has a really nice ability on it, that luck ability, and also just the +2 bonus to your saving throws. But what I'm going to do with it involving our flute is I'm going to use the Transmog Appearance Shard that I have through the Transmogrification Enhanced mod that I downloaded from the Nexus. When we go ahead and combine these here, you can read in the description that you place the item you wish to glamour on the left and the appearance that you wish to copy on the right. So what we're going to do is put the Luck Blade in the left so that it can be the stats and everything, and then we're going to put the flute in the right and click it down. And now we have the Luck Blade as a flute. And even though it's not technically wielding our flute, we can think that it might as well be. And now that our weapon has been hex bound, you can see that it's doing 1d8 plus 8 slashing damage instead of 1d8 plus 7. We only have a small difference between our charisma and dexterity, but that +1 is definitely a nice bonus. And now that we don't need the green flute anymore, I've replaced it with the Flute of the Dead silver version from Ember's Haunted Instruments. And in the instrument chest, we've got the Haunted Instruments. Open that up, and we've got all these different ones here that have a bunch of really cool abilities associated with them. Specifically, you can perform music in combat to create an aura of bloody siphoning. What does bloody siphoning do? It grants a +1 bonus to attack rolls, damage, and a 1 bonus to your armor class whenever you or an ally is within it, which is really great if you want to use that instead of one of your spells. It also gives you the ability to perform with sprites, perform in combat, and just have the flute visuals. It gives you a +1 bonus to your armor class and saving throws. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of the effects that this really cool flute has available to it. If we perform with sprites, we can do the power. And as you can see, we've got these cool kind of ethereal tentacles playing a song with us. The full song is in the background. It's really nice. I like it. Now let's do another song. Let's do Bard Dance. And I think this one's going to spawn our shadow. Look, it's our patron twice. One of them is here just to be our summon, and one of them is here to be, you know, part of the song. Got this really cool, like the bones are floating around everywhere. There's all sorts of crazy effects going on here. Our patrons in the background. What on earth? Let's go ahead and move over here so that we can reset it for a second. And let's do one more time with old time battles. This one's green and has lightning everywhere. Pretty sweet. I like it. Overall, I think that Bard Dance might be my favorite, but you could use any of them in combat to pretty great effect. Back to our gear, I'm also using a shield +1 just for a +3 bonus to our armor class, just because I wanted to have some really good armor class with it. If you wanted 2 extra damage from a longsword, you could theoretically do that. I decided not to do that. I'm just going to go with a shield here so that we can have our armor class up to 27, which is pretty damn sweet. For our buffs, I usually go with Armor of Agathis at the 4th level for 20 temporary hit points and 20 cold damage on hit. I'm also going to do the Summon Shadow Spawn, which I usually do at the 5th level, because one of the interesting things about this is that at 3rd level it has like 30 hit points, I think. And then for every spell level that you raise it, it gains 10 HP. So because we have a bunch of 5th level spell slots available to us that can regenerate, I'm going to use 5th level spell slots. And we'll have it 60 HP on it. We're also going to do Long Strider. I've already done it to myself, but we can do it here to our Shadow. And that's pretty much all as far as our buffs are concerned. Let's go ahead and drop ourselves down into some combat and see just how crazy this character really is. Okay, so I'm going to start combat by having my patron come on down her. And let's get further over because I want to get myself out of range because I'm going to fear everybody in this big old circle here. Maybe not everybody, but enough. Enough of everybody. So what exactly are we going to do? I think what we're going to do is come over here and hit this guy because we want to get some Arcane Acuity stacks popping. Let's give him a smack with our flute. Hexblade's Curse, that's awesome. Let's do it again. I totally forgot that I've got Booming Blade. That would have been really great. That's okay. We still got 2 Arcane Acuity stacks. Not as much as I would have liked, but we can deal with it. We've got Synaptic Static. Let's do a big ol' AoE so we can do some big damage and debuff these guys. That's a lot of damage. It did hit our shadow, but we can always summon another one. That's okay. I'm not worried. End our turn. They rolled a 30 and they need 27 to hit. It's just a volley. I can pass on it. I don't need to use my cutting words for that. I could do this one though. Miss. Nice. That means I rolled 2 or higher. You've already used your action, so you can just chill. Everybody's frightened except for them. Holy dang! At least the cold damage killed him. That'll teach you. Oh my god. Can't even hit me when I'm laying down. You dirty dog. I hate that mass cure wound so much. I'm gonna make sure that you regret ever having done that. Ever, ever, ever. That's why I'm gonna remember that I have Booming Blade. Ha 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 ha! Let's do it again. 12. And now, how much health do you have? 13. That's not enough vicious mockery to stop you. But what will stop you is using hold person at the 4th level. We got 3 charges. Let's go ahead and get this guy, and this guy. Sucks to suck! Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. Critical miss. You better. You're held. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. Cutting words. Yeah, you can touch me. I got advantage on my saving throws. Let's hit this girl again, because I think we can kill her if we hit her right. Oh, I missed. Alright. That's cool. Haha, you're held. Don't you dare knock me down. I would end my concentration so fast. Alright, girl. You're gonna make me lose my shit right here. Critical hit. What else do we got? Let's just vicious mockery. End turn. Miss, you buddy. Cutting words. Let's see. I can't get crits on these guys. Let's just hit these other guys. 30%. Wow. Thank you for hitting. Stay held, please. We'll be back for you later. Booming blade. Nice! Oh, he's dead. Sick. Let's hit these guys then. I don't mind the opportunity attack. I won't get hit by it. I told you. Smack, critical hit. That's okay. Let's do... He's immune to psychic damage, and these are like all psychic damage. Let's just do that. Might as well. 18 damage. Don't touch me. Shield. That'll hold me over through the full turn too. Held. Yeah, you better miss. I didn't miss again. Let's do it again. So I kill him. I think that killed him. Opportunity attack is fine. Yep. Yep. Nice. This is not concentration. Oh no, he's immune to it. Never mind. I can't do it. I totally forgot to vicious mockery. Let's cutting words. How did that hit me? You son of a bitch. Alright, this should kill him. It did a hell of a lot, that's for damn sure. Goodbye. Yeah, you better crit miss. Ha ha ha! 9 damage. You thought you could try, but I am here. Miss me, now you gotta kiss me. Let's just go get this guy before he's unheld again. Yeah, you better miss. Nice! One more time. Nice! Nothing I can do here. I guess I can I hold monster him? I think I can. Yes, I can. You suck. Now let me hit you. Let me hit you again. None of these really bother you, do they? End turn. Cutting words. I did get hit, that's okay. Booming blade, Shazang. 20. Nothing I can do. Next turn. Do something. Yeah. Yeah. Booming blade. Woo! Uh-oh. He's gonna blur. Misty Step. I can't Misty Step up there yet. But I can Misty Step Rudder. Turn. We got a new guy. Where are you, bud? Come here. This guy, Falco. Falco punch. All right, come here, bud. You're dead. How'd it get boomed? We bring the boom. Ew. He's a cuck. Cutting words. Yeah, you tried. You missed. You just suck. Nice. Let's vicious. Let's Misty Step right next to him. Oh no. If I had to. There we go. There we go. There we go. Poke! You've been poked with the flute. Oh my god. Yeah. Don't even try, man. You're done. You're dead. And that's the build. Thank you so much for watching the Hexflute Bardlock build guide. If you found it helpful or picked up a few new ideas to use in your own builds, feel free to leave a like and drop any questions or feedback in the comments below. I've got more modded builds and class guides coming soon, so consider subscribing if you want to see those in the future. Until next time, good luck out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!